365. You got Mac and Mac. It may look like Mac and Rocky Raccoon, but it is Mac and Mac here with you on Birds 365. For those of you who just streamed in. Oh, by the way, you go ahead and hit the like button since you're here, and we're getting prepped for our big Eagle playoff game next week. Last week, yours truly had to have some surgery done to get some skin cancer removed from my noggin, and the surgery was a success, so they tell me. Be glad that I'm wearing the hat, because you don't want to see the sutures and staples in the top of my head. You think my eyes are ugly, you should see the top of my head. That will keep hidden. But surprisingly, I did not know this was going to happen. They didn't tell me this either, even though they said the procedure was a success. Somehow the trauma to the top of my head has made its way down onto my face, and it looks like, yeah, I went 4 rounds with Mike Tyson. Not good. But I'm a playoff player. What can I tell you? I'm a tough guy.
Boy,
this is postseason. There's no downtime. Suck it up, get it done. That's what we're trying to do here on Bridge 365. Yeah. So a couple people have said on the stream, what the hell happened to Jody? I had to repeat it a second time. Yeah, I know. I look like...
By the way, Jody, I might show up with some trauma tomorrow after watching that Giants-Vikings game. Can I give you 2 statistics from that game? Since I'm just popping that. This is amazing to me. How bad was the defense in that game? Daniel Jones, first quarterback in NFL postseason history with 300-plus passing yards, 2+ passing touchdowns, 70+ rushing yards. So that's one of those, you know, you place the sort of yardstick where you want to go. But get this, for people who think the Giants played well, the Vikings are the only team in the Super Bowl era to complete at least 80% of their passes with no turnovers and no sacks allowed and lose the game. Teams had been 47-0 in the regular season and postseason before that game. When did the NFL turn into the Big 12, Jody?
Yeah, a whole lot of offense. I mentioned that on CBS last night when I was on. If you're looking for trends and givens through the first 4 games, the over was not in doubt in any of the games. In the 60s, they were scoring, and the numbers are usually in the 40s. If they get the 50, so be it. Everybody scoring in the 60s combined, and the Vikings and the Giants held that up as well. Yeah, I got one bad piece of information for you, though, J-Mac. And I know the point you made. Here's what you said last week. Kirk Cousins will be given Hall of Fame consideration.
No, I said if he won the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. If he wins the Super Bowl,
yeah, which ain't going to happen. See, people forget that, Jody. I said people are going to have a difficult. What I said is people are going to have a difficult conversation if he ever gets on a run and wins a Super Bowl, because his numbers are so good. Not now, obviously.
Well, that's good, because it's never going to happen. Because Kirk Cousins, again, yesterday, John, I don't know that you and I have ever discussed this. I've discussed it way too many times in the air, on the air, in all my broadcasts. There is nothing, I mean, the number one thing about professional football that annoys me is when a team on 4th down throws the ball short of the sticks. The person should be fired. He should be run out of the league. The coach, the receiver, the quarterback, all of them should just be booted out of the league. How do you not get to a first down when it is 4th down and you desperately, and it can't be more desperate, Giants get to go into victory formation thereafter the game is over. How do you not get to the sticks if you're the wide receiver, or in this case it was Hockenson? How do you call a play with a pattern that's going to come up short of the sticks? And then most importantly, if you're the quarterback, how do you choose to throw it to someone who is 4 yards short of a first down and then watch him get tackled? How? When your name's Kirk Cousins and he comes up the smallest and the biggest spots in the history of the National Football League. Yeah, we don't even have to have your hypothetical conversation about if Kirk Cousins wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I want to make that clear. I said if he won the Super Bowl, because he's not a Hall of Fame player. So you know how social media people are, Jody. I said because of the numbers, it's going to be a difficult conversation. I tweeted the exact same thing in the moment. It drives me insane. Now, I get upset at college quarterbacks where the rules are different. And if you get a first down, they stop the clock. So if it's late in the game and you're a kid who doesn't have any experience and you don't get, like, 3 yards ain't going to help you if the clock is going to run. You got to throw the ball to the sticks and stop the clock. And it's better to have an incomplete pass or throw it away or whatever. I get upset at college quarterbacks who do it. If you've been playing as long as Kirk Cousins, if you've been playing as long and you're doing that with your season on the line, it's bad enough in week 8, right? It's bad enough in a week 8 game where you're going to play next week, but your entire season is on the line. And, oh, by the way, you have Justin Jefferson, and he talked about this after the game. They won a game in Buffalo because he was smart enough on 4th and 19 to just throw the ball up to Justin Jefferson, who came up with it in one of the greatest catches of all time. Throw the stinking ball. Just throw it up. Throw it up to one of your good receivers. Yeah. And you're right about, I don't blame as much Kevin O'Connell. That's a Kirk Cousins thing. He's got to understand that every play sort of has an outlet, and that's what Hawkinson was on that particular play. Maybe you got to take it away from him if he's that dumb. Yeah. If he's that dumb in that spot. But I also said, if I'm doing a Vikings autopsy, 1 through 19 is defense, all the way to 19, and then you get to 4th and 8. He played he played really well in that game until that play. He's not the reason they lost that game, but I'm with you 100%. That is an extremely dumb play for a veteran quarterback. Extremely dumb play.
You can't do it. And I've some very good quarterbacks, including Eagle quarterbacks over the years, I've maligned for doing the same exact thing. It's the dumbest play in football. You can't do it. And don't give me, if he breaks a tackle, he can make, no, it's dumb. You can't take that risk. The risk reward of throwing it short of the sticks and making a guy have to be able to break a tackle is just, I'm sorry. There's no way you can justify it. You couldn't justify it for Kirk Cousins yesterday. It was just flat out dumb. But the Giants benefited, which means they're coming here to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles next week. It's a fun matchup, and it'll have nothing to do with the voting, but I think the Brian Daboll versus Nick Sirianni matchup is fun too, because the Eagles beat them twice already this year. And I would, if I had a vote, I'd give it to Sirianni over Daboll for Coach of the Year, but it's close. I said this yesterday on CBS. If you agree with me, John. Sirianni, Daboll, Doug Pederson, and or your boy out in San Francisco. If any of those 4, Kyle Shanahan being the 4th, if any of those 4 win Coach of the Year, I'm okay with it. I think that's close between those 4 guys. If you wanted me to put them in an order, I would go Shanahan 1, Sirianni 2, Daboll 3, Pederson 4, but I'm okay with any of those 4. How about you?
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset. Unfortunately, my definition is kind of, and everything's I say all the time, everybody's about definition. So I go with who's done the most with the least, and that's why I picked Daboll. But Doug's really close. So to me, it's between those 2. Maybe I'm trying to be objective by not picking Doug because I do like Doug personally. Sirianni, it's not fair. Shanahan, it's not fair. I picked the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl. For Sirianni, it's more as the season went on and I became clear, wow, this team's really good. Not that they haven't done great jobs. They've both done great jobs, and I expect them to be in the NFC Championship game, Nick Sirianni and Kyle Shanahan. And everybody knows how much I like Kyle Shanahan, and they should know how much I like Nick Sirianni. But I think Brian Daboll did the most with the least. So to me, he's the Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I do look at it a little differently. And you're right, you have to do it as the season goes on. The 49ers right now are playing the best football in football, and they're doing so with their third-string quarterback. That puts Kyle Shanahan on the top of the mountain for me. But Dougie P's defense, did read this morning, did not know it. The first team ever in the history of the National Football League to have the worst record the season before, aka the #1 draft pick, and then win a playoff game. Has never been done before in the history of the National Football League.
He's getting quite the resume for a guy who can't hire assistant coaches. I'm glad that narrative has died because he got kind of crapped on his way out of Philadelphia by some people. It was a minority, but by some people. And that was an absurd narrative. And I hope people are seeing it. Look, in a lot of ways, what he's done in Jacksonville is more impressive than the Super Bowl because the Eagles have a really good organization. I think they've proven that. And they have had for years. That has been a you-know-what show in Jacksonville for years and years. And coming off Urban Meyer, that team was dead, moribund, whatever adjective you want to use. And he turned them around, won a division title. Granted, bad division, but won a division title. And he's in the divisional round of the playoffs. Man, his resume is getting pretty stinking impressive.
What I described Jacksonville as prior to Dougie P showing up is dumpster fire. That's what the Jacksonville Jaguars were, and he came in and put out those flames. And oh, by the way, now if you look at the complete resume, 6 years NFL head coach, 4 times in the playoffs, including a Super Bowl win. That's pretty damn good. When you're 4 out of 6 at making the playoffs, and oh, by the way, you stepped into 2 not great situations, because let's be honest, when he took over the Eagles, there was an easy reason why they moved away from Andy Reid. The organization was
Chip Kelly. People forget moved away from Chip Kelly.
Moved away from Chip Kelly. Sorry, they were not good. That was not a great team that Doug was inheriting at that time. And we know how bad it was in Jacksonville. So to have made the playoffs 4 out of 6 years as an NFL head coach, that's pretty damn good accomplishment for Doug Pederson.
Yeah.
He's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We see in the waiting room, it is our boy, Chris Franklin, our usual Monday contributor here on Birds 365 from NJ.com. CF, Chris Franklin next.